Hey guys, it's me, the Serious Scissor here, and today I will be bringing you a Pokemon Online battle between 1996 E2 and Invisibility Cloak for the quarterfinals of the official Pokemon Online YouTube tournament. So, let's go on to the team preview. 1996 E2 has the Sun team, which consists of Ninetales, of course, Terrakion, Venusaur, Fortress, Xatu, and Latias. So looking at his team, his three most important Pokemon will be Ninetales, Xatu, and Fortress, as Xatu and Fortress can bounce back hazards and spin away the hazards, while Ninetales does set up the Sun for 1996 E2 to sweep with potential Pokemon like Terrakion and Venusaur, while he has a Latias thrown in there to take hits from whatever it has to take hits from. So an overall well-built team, as Invisibility Cloak has a Hail team which consists of Abomasnow, Kyurem, Chandelure, Mamoswine, Espeon, and Tentacle. Looking at his team, his three most important Pokemon are Abomasnow, Espeon, and Tentacle. Espeon and Tentacle can bounce back hazards and spin hazards just like 1996 Ito's Fortress and Xatu, while he has the Abomasnow to set up the Hail, which can really help Pokemon like Kyurem and Mamoswine on his team sweep with a much easier time. So, from that, let's get into the battle. 1996 E2 will lead off with his Terrakion, while Invisibility Cloak leads off with his Mamoswine. 1996 E2 is fearing the Sash, Mamoswine leads Earthquake, as Invisibility Cloak is fearing the Close Combat. So this will force a switch for both of them. 1996 E2 chooses to switch into his Xatu, as Invisibility Cloak decides to switch out into his Tentacle. Now here, Invisibility Cloak is fearing the Psychic, so he will want to switch out, which will give 1996 E2 a perfect opportunity to Thunder Wave something on the switch in, and he does get a Thunder Wave on this possible Choice Scarf of Abomasnow, which is very good for him because it will pretty much cripple him useless, as now he will be forced to call back his Xatu, but he will be able to bring the Sun into play, switching into Ninetales, as Invisibility predicts that nicely, goes out into his Espeon, and now he's going to set up the light screen first, and on the second turn he sets up the Reflect, as 1996 E2 Ninetales will go for the Flamethrower twice, and here Invisibility Cloak makes a great play, goes out into his Chandelure, gets the Flash Fire boost, and now he can go for the Fire Blast, and that does a lot to the Ninetales, 56%, as the Ninetales will be forced to go for the Roar here. But he sadly roars back in the Abomasnow, bringing the Hail back into play, as 1996 E2 will switch out into his Fortress to take advantage of this Abomasnow, but Invisibility Cloak predicts that very nicely and goes out into his Chandelure, now giving him an advantage. Here it's going to force 1996 E2 to switch out, and he chooses to switch into his Terrakion, as the Fire Blast does 37% to the Terrakion on the switch in, but here Invisibility Cloak thinks he's Choice Scarf. He will end up foddering off his Espeon here to 2 close combats, and after the second close combat, the light screen will wear off for Invisibility Cloak, and here his Magic Bouncer is down, which is already giving 1996 E2 a huge advantage. So now Invisibility Cloak will go into his Chandelure to revenge the Terrakion, as it forces Terrakion to switch, as 1996 E2 goes out into his Latias to take whatever the Chandelure has to throw at him, but unfortunately he gets the Fire Blast burn on the switch in, which is very unfortunate as the Reflect does wear off on this turn. So here Invisibility Cloak will switch out into his Tentacle, as 1996 E2 will predict that and go out into his Fortress here. And now the Tentacle will go for the knockoff, trying to get a lot of damage on the 1996 E2 and get residual damage with the Hail, negating any leftovers now because it was knocked off, as the Fortress does go for the Stealth Rock here, and the Tentacle now will go for the Rapid Spin, spinning away the hazards, as Fortress just goes for the Volt Switch, gets out of there, and goes into Ninetales to get more recovery. And here Invisibility Cloak is predicting the Protect, but 1996 Ito predicts him to predict the protect and goes out into his Zatu to bounce back the hazards, which was a great play on his part. And now Invisibility Cloak is in a predicament because he either has to fear the Psychic and Rapid Spin anyways, or switch out and come back in later. He does decide to go for the Rapid Spin here, which is great for him because now the Toxic Spikes are gone. But right here, on this next play, turn 18, this is probably the most important play of the game, because now Invisibility Cloak has a sleeping Rapid Spinner and his Magic Bouncer is dead, meaning he can no longer safely keep all hazards off the field, while 1996 E2 still has his Magic Bouncer alive and still has his Spinner alive. So right now, 1996 E2 does have a very big advantage at the moment, even though the score is still only 6-5. So here, 1996 E2 will call back his Venusaur and go out into his Terrakion to get some damage off on the Tentacruel, but Invisibility Cloak actually switches into his Abomasnow, which was a great move on 1996 E2's part going into his Terrakion. And here he goes for the Stone Edge, predicting the Tentacruel to come back in, and it does a whopping 53%, which is a clean 2-hit KO. Here, 1996 E2 does not want to risk the Stone Edge miss and have the chance of Tentacruel waking up, so he goes back into his Ninetales to get the sun back up and to get more leftovers back. And on this turn, he will decide to roar out the Tentacruel, which is very important because in 5th gen, the sleep turns do reset, which means next time Tentacruel comes in, it will have to sleep for another 2 to 5 turns, I do believe, which is very crucial for the only Rapid Spinner that he has, as 1996 E2's Ninetales does roar back in the Chandelure, which is probably what he did not want to see right now. He will go for the Protect here to get more leftovers back and to scout what move the Chandelure wants to lock himself into as he goes for the Fire Blast here. So here 1996 E2 will switch out of his Latias to take the Fire Blast, but the Fire Blast actually misses, which is unfortunate for Invisibility Cloak, as he's now forced to switch into his Abomasnow to take whatever the Latias has, as 1996 E2 goes for the Dragon Pulse on the Abomasnow switch-in, and it does a really good chunk, 40% to be exact, but now it forces 1996 E2 to switch out, and he once again takes advantage of the paralyzed Abomasnow and switches into his Ninetales, bringing the sun back up to play, as Invisibility Cloak predicts that, goes out into his Tentacruel to try to get more leftovers damage and possibly wake up. And so here, 1996 E2 will go back out into his Terrakion, go for the Stone Edge, and really try to kill off this Tentacruel, which would give him a huge advantage, and he does fortunately hit both of his Stone Edges, as Invisibility Cloak does not wake up either of those turns. So now, 1996 E2 has a great advantage with Invisibility Cloak's Rapid Spinner and Magic Bouncer dead. But here, he's fearing the Ice Shard as Invisibility Cloak goes into his Mamoswine to revenge, so he does go out into his Fortress to take whatever he wants, and here we learn that Invisibility Cloak is running a Life Orb set instead of the Sash lead that 1996 E2 had expected, as Invisibility Cloak goes into his Abomasnow to bring back up the hail, as Fortress goes for the Stealth Rocks. Now 1996 E2 will once again take advantage of the paralyzed Abomasnow and switch into his Ninetales, as Invisibility Cloak just decides to go for the Focus Blast. It only does 30%, which with leftovers recovery with Protect, it really won't be doing much. As here he makes a risky move and stays in, very risky on his part, and here 1996 E2 goes for the double Protect as Invisibility Cloak stays in once again, which that was just crazy that he predicted both Protects. And now here he makes another amazing prediction and goes out into his Chandelure to get the Flash Fire boost, which will really hurt 1996 E2's team a lot, as he will just go for the Protect again to get more leftovers recovery and to scout what move Chandelure wants to lock himself into. So here, 1996 E2 will fodder off his Latias to Invisibility Cloak's Chandelure, and right here, he goes out into his Terrakion, and here, if the Stone Edge misses, then that's pretty much GG, Invisibility Cloak wins, but it actually does hit, which is great. And also, the reason he did not have Earthquake And the reason he did not go for it is because he actually has quick attack over it, because in the previous battle he had got swept, and so he needed quick attack to finish off the opposing Pokemon with his priority. As Invisibility Cloak will go into his Mamoswine to revenge the Terrakion, forces to switch out, and just goes for the Ice Shard, not to overpredict, as 1996 E2 goes into his Xatu, takes the Ice Shard, not very well, to 52%, as Invisibility Cloak will now go for the Icicle Crash, as 1996 E2 predicts that and goes out into his Fortress. And here, he knows he can take any hit, and he just goes for one layer of spikes to really harm the team, as Invisibility Cloak just decides to finish off the Fortress with 2 Earthquakes. And now 1996 E2 knows he can take a Ice Shard because he is a bulkier Venusaur, which is very important, and it forces Invisibility Cloak to switch out into his Abomasnow here, as 1996 E2 goes for the Solar Beam here, and Invisibility Cloak makes a very good play right there, because now it forces him to charge for one more turn, and if the Abomasnow does live, he will be able to finish off the Venusaur, and he does live with 3%, and is able to go for the Blizzard, doesn't get paralyzed, and it finishes off the Venusaur, leveling the score at 3-3. But now 1996 E2 has won the Weather War. That is it. The Abomasnow is dead on the next switch-in. He wins the Weather War, which is pretty important because winning the Weather War is always a great advantage in any battle. And 1996 E2 will just go for the Flamethrower, followed by a Protect to finish off the Abomasnow. As Invisibility Cloak will go back into his Mamoswine to revenge, and 1996 E2 knows he will not be able to outspeed because he is running a bulkier set, as proven by how well he took those previous hits. So he will be forced to switch out into his Xatu. Invisibility Cloak goes for the safe Earthquake, and here 1996 E2 knows he has only 2 turns of Life Orb left, so if he can play well around it, he should have the game in the bag. As here, he calls back his Xatu, goes into his Ninetales, and Invisibility Cloak does not make an over prediction, goes for the Icicle Crash, as the Ninetales does not switch out. And here, Invisibility Cloak gets the prediction this time, predicts the Xatu switch in, but right now, he's lost because his Mamoswine will die to the Life Orb recoil, and 1996 E2 made a terrific play there, foddering off his Xatu as it was very worthless late game. So that was a great move on his part. It really won him the game because now it's 2-1. 1996 E2 will be able to go out into his Terrakion, as Invisibility Cloak will go out into his Kyurem. 1996 E2 will be able to outspeed and finish off with the close combat, and that will be the game. Thank you for watching, everybody, and if you enjoyed, it would be lovely if you could leave a rate and a comment and some constructive criticism below, because I always like making my narrations better, and also because it takes a lot of hard work by all the great editors we have on our staff right now. So it would be really appreciated if you left a like, and my channel, if you enjoyed the narration, should be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Bye.